Hey guys, TechyShenanigans here, back with another video, and I'm finally here to give you my full review of the iPhone 7 Plus. Now, I've had the iPhone 7 Plus for a little over 2 weeks now, so I wanted to kind of have a feel of how the device acts and works in daily life and give you my thoughts on whether this phone is worth picking up. So I want to start out first with the design. And design-wise, this phone is not too different from the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6s from the past 2 years. It's got the same basic sort of design. The cell bands on the back have been reduced, so there's not much going on the back. There is a larger camera hump, especially on the 7 Plus, because that camera hump has been leveled out mainly to help with water resistance, which is nice. And also, there's two new colors, black and jet black. Now, as you can see, I have the black color, or the matte black, on mine, and this is actually a Presidio grip case from Spec. I'll be doing a review of that in a future video, and as you can see, I've also got a screen protector on it too. So, but the jet black is the most prominent color, mainly because of that high glossy shine. Now, it's a very nice color, but it's also prone to microabrasions, which to me, I didn't really want to have to deal with that because I'm very nitpicky about scratches and whatnot, so I didn't want to have to mess with that. And also, too, this is the first iPhone that is IP67 certified, meaning that you can immerse the phone in 1 meter of water for up to 30 minutes. Now, would I take this phone swimming? Probably not. That water resistance rating is mainly there for a peace of mind. So if you get caught in the rain or you fall into a pool or you drop in the toilet, then the phone should survive with no problems. Now, the biggest aspect of this phone and the most controversial is the fact that this phone has no headphone jack. Now, where the headphone jack used to be, there is a speaker grill. Now, you would think that there might be dual speakers here, but in reality, this is just for aesthetics here. And this right here houses one of the two speakers. So this phone actually has two speakers. There's one on this side here, and then there's one up in the earpiece. Now, it's very loud. The consuming media and videos on this device is fantastic. However, I've noticed that the majority of the sound is coming from the bottom speaker here. This speaker up here is mainly used as a tweeter to enhance the sound quality, but it's a nice subtle touch. Now, this home button here doesn't click. It's actually a solid state home button, meaning that it's capacitive, so no physical action is going on with the phone, with the button. Now, if you turn this phone off, it's not going to do anything. So if I try to click it, it's not going to go down. It's giving you an illusion of a click with the Taptic engine in this phone. So that, and also to the home button has always been a primary concern of failure in older generations of iPhone because that button wears out over time and it has to be replaced. So they essentially solved it by making it capacitive where it won't break as easily, which is a nice little touch. So the next aspect of this phone I want to get into is performance, and this phone is very fast. It comes with the new A10 Fusion processor with 3 gigabytes of RAM. This is the first iPhone and iOS device that has 3 gigabytes of RAM. And it's got 2 high performance cores, meaning those are for high intense tasks like gaming and whatnot, which Apple claims is much faster than the A9. And I would tend to agree with them. And there are also 2 low performance cores for basic tasks such as email and web browsing that don't consume a lot of power. Now, as I said, I kind of tend to agree with the increase in performance. There's hardly any sort of drop frames or stutters that I've noticed at all. So the system is very fluid. I haven't had any sort of problems. Opening apps are pretty quick, so it's very nice. Very fluid. I haven't had any problems with that, which is very nice. Now, the biggest reason why most people are going for this phone is because of that camera. And that camera, there's actually 2 on the rear camera. You got a 12 megapixel camera with a f1.8 aperture with optical image stabilization, meaning that your photos and videos are going to be a lot steadier and not have as much shake. But for this phone in particular, you've got a second camera with a 12 megapixel sensor with f2.8 aperture with no IS, and essentially that second sensor works as it's a telephoto lens, meaning that you can use what's known as optical zoom to zoom in on your shots without losing any detail. And if I go into the camera app here, we'll show you why. So if you go in here, you got this little button here that says 1x. Now if I click on it, it will jump to 2x. And now it's using the telephoto sensor to take the shot. And I can take a shot, and basically you'll be zoomed in and not lose any detail. So that's a very, very nice touch. Now now also with this phone, you've got what's called portrait mode, and that basically adds a software blur or a bokeh style no, it's not a filter, but a bokeh style to your images, making them much more professional and gives you the impression that they were taken with a high quality camera. So if I go back here, then this camera is just fantastic, and I'll show you some images that I took with this phone's camera. So as you can see, the images were very clear, very crisp, got a lot of detail, and that depth field effect is just absolutely fantastic. I think it's like the most defining feature of this phone's camera. So other little things to know is that the front-facing camera actually got an upgrade to a 7 megapixel sensor with f2.2 aperture, and it can finally record in 1080p video, which, to be honest, is quite a shame that Apple took this long to get 1080p on the front-facing camera. But hey, it's finally there, so that's nice. And also, this uses the Retina flash, where if you're in a dark environment, then the screen will light up brighter than normal to illuminate your selfies and give you more light, which is nice. So, in conclusion, would I buy this phone, and am I going to keep this phone? Well, yes, and it depends. As for me keeping the phone, yes, I'm going to keep it, because the biggest reason for me is mainly because of that camera. That camera is absolutely fantastic. It's got great images, and while the image quality might not be that much different than the iPhone 6s Plus that I came from, that depth effect really kind of makes the purchase worthwhile. Now, the other touches, such as the water-resistant stereo speakers, that's also part of it too, but that I'm more into the photography aspect, which that camera adds a lot of value to it. Now, as for whether you should pick this phone up, that depends on your needs. If you're interested in the latest and greatest iPhone, you're in Apple's ecosystem, and you want that dual camera, then I'd say go for it. Because you'll be more than satisfied with this phone. Now, if you've got anything 5S or older, yes, definitely upgrade. But if you have a 6 or a 6S, it might not be worth it, because the next iPhone that's supposed to be coming out, the iPhone 8 or the iPhone X or whatever they're going to call it, is supposed to be supposed to have a whole new design, and it's going to be completely different. So if you want something that's not so similar to the last two generations, then you might want to hold out. But this is a good time. I'd say this is a good time to get this phone, and I'm sure it will satisfy you more than enough for however long you decide to keep it. Oh, and also too, I also wanted to point out that I really haven't missed the headphone jack all that much. I thought I would, but I didn't. But if I needed to use the jack, then I just used the adapter. So that's not a big deal. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them down in the comment section down below. I'll try to get to them and answer them as soon as I can. And yeah, so thank you very much for watching. This is TechyShenanigans. Have a good day.